Hi, I'm David Bell. Welcome to another Tall, Tale and True from the far country. I was watching a border collie down at the beach the other day. Beautiful dog. Smart too. Had an owner that knew how to train dogs. Hand signals and a mean set of wolf whistles were the order of the day. Reminded me of life in a rural parish. As a city boy, I walked onto someone's farm, newly minted Methodist minister, and for the first time drove down a real country road, potholes and all, opened the farm gate, drove up to the farmhouse, hopped out, and admired the large woolly sheep tethered a few yards away. Maybe it'd like a pat on the head, as friendly dogs are inclined to enjoy. A few seconds later, I was lifted off my feet as the ram proceeded to give me the biggest headbutt ever. I sported a massive bruise on my rear end for weeks to come. Life's like that. Everything looks benign and peaceful, smiling. God's in his heaven on a superb weather day. Then, biffo, you never see what's coming. Now that's a tiny, true tale, but it got me thinking. The Bible has some pretty tall tales about animals. You get talking snakes and a lot more besides. For instance, we come across talking donkeys and even creatures that look like human beings but have wings, the kerubi, the cherubs. Anyway, back to the donkeys. The domesticated donkey is a creature smaller than a horse. It eats perhaps only a quarter of the feed a horse requires. Consequently, the donkey was the favoured beast of burden among the poor people of Israel. The story of Balaam's donkey in the book of Numbers is an impressive and large tale. It goes like this. Balaam was a prophet, a soothsayer, who got sent on a strange mission. On the one hand, he was sent by the king to curse the invading army of Israel, and on the other hand, he was sent by God to bless the invading army of Israel. The king's orders were to ride his donkey straight towards the enemy lines and, once engaged with the enemy, to call down the wrath of the gods on the Israelite invaders, as only Balaam could do. Apparently, the soothsayer had a bit of a reputation for doing that kind of thing. Well, there you have it. God had a plan, the king had the opposite plan. What would happen? Balaam rides his ass towards enemy lines, but 3 times the ass refused to do what Balaam wanted. Each time he whipped her, he beat her. Now, I don't think whipping an animal is ever justified, but that's not the whole point of this tale. Finally, the donkey had had enough. She opened her mouth and spoke to her master, for she had seen that God didn't want her to pass along the way Balaam desired. And finally his eyes were opened, and he saw an angel of the Lord stationed in his way with a drawn sword. His ass had seen the angel first. The angel was quite angry with Balaam over the mistreatment of his loyal donkey. Of course, it's a tall tale. The Bible has a number of stories where humans are stupid compared to the other creatures of the creation, and I think that's true. Maybe everything and everyone, all creatures, great and small, have a purpose, a role to play in what we call life. What do you think? I certainly believe it so. Sometimes the Bible myths about animals have more than hints of universal truth because it can't be said any other way. And exactly what happened after Balaam's eyes were opened by his ass? Well, you can read about that in the book of Numbers. Subscribe to the channel, purple yellow button below right, and do join me again next week for another far country tale. And thanks for watching.